14 games. We need 3 from the top, 1 from the bottom. The Barclays WSL, the perfect conundrum. The pieces ready to fall into place.
Here's Blackstenius. Devastating finish. Emphatic from the champions. And the captain has rifled it in. A killer blow for the Gunners. Brighton might fancy this. Oh, brilliant goal! Arsenal in control. They are right back in the title race. Kerr! Of course it's Kerr! It's yet another giant step towards another WSL title.
Well, for Arsenal, for all the lows and even lowers, come the highs and a sprinkling of luck. It means they're third heading into tonight, and they make 2 changes from Brighton. As for Everton, they were in 7th heaven, 7 points better off, and then, well, they shipped 7. Their heaviest WSL defeat. They make 3 changes tonight, including in goal. Midweeks on Merseyside, a thing of beauty. Everton against Arsenal, kick-off 6:15. But why have one match at the top when you can indulge in 2? Manchester United, 53 days leading the WSL. Could they be toppled by Chelsea tonight for the second time in a week?
Fear is like a fire. It'll either warm you or it'll burn you.
Winning. You don't tire of it. There's not enough of it.
Competing for every trophy. Of course, we always want to win.
And I'm not going there to suffer. I'm going there to win the game.
Kerr! Of course it's Kerr! Harder! Glorious goal! That is what champions do!
Yep, the FA Cup champions head to West Ham, win, and the defending WSL champions are back top of the table. Our second game of the evening kicks off at 8:15. Evening, all 2 matches for you, 5.5 hours of the best stuff, which means Karen Carney, Fern Whelan have brought their rave gear and their glow sticks. Fern, it's one of those matches, both these matches actually, you look at them, they're so pivotal. We're only 10 days away from the end of the season. That FA Cup win, though, for Chelsea, do you sense that something's shifted?
I mean, I think they've just been kind of patiently waiting, haven't they, for their moment to kind of creep up on Manchester United, Chelsea, and obviously in that game in the FA Cup, what we saw at the weekend was probably not the best quality that we've seen in terms of a final, in terms of these 2 teams. But, you know, what Chelsea have got in their locker is they had fantastic changes they could make. So they had Harder to come on. Sophie Ingle came on and did a great job because, you know, it was a bit of a scrappy game in the first half. It could go either way for either team. But, you know, they've got that in their locker. And I think what they have is potentially they've got that ability to make those changes. And they've got, obviously, the winning mentality that they've had before. They know how to win, don't they?
Funny that the West Ham boss, Paul Konchesky, said that she talked about Emma Hayes, about rotating her team, potential tiredness. She's come back and said it's actually just their minds that are tired, not their bodies. If Chelsea do hit the top tonight, Karen, I know we'll get there in the end. There's a question, I'm sure, brewing. If they do hit the top tonight, do you think that's it for them? They'll stay there?
Massive game, you know, for Arsenal. Chelsea play Arsenal at the weekend, so huge fixture just because of the rivalry between both teams. And then you add in the ante of Champions League. Arsenal still got a hope of winning the title, and they won't want to give it to Chelsea even if they can't win it and the Champions League spot. So that is a proper game that I'm interested in. So no, it's definitely not over. And then the final game for Chelsea, you're going to Reading, who are fighting for their lives. You know, it's something you don't really want to go and play a team that's scrapping for everything. They'll run and kick and jump for every ball. So they're 2 difficult fixtures. You would think with the squad they have and the mentality, they'll be able to, you know, they should be okay. But, you know, this has been the most competitive season. I know we say it every season, but it literally has. And that's why I was like, where are we going to go with this? Because I don't know, because that's how good the league has been.
So what you're saying is that jigsaw we were putting together at the start, some little kids just come along and thrown it all up in the air.
Probably me, the little kid that
yeah.
It, so.
Why does that not surprise me? Let's focus then on Everton-Arsenal, which is our first match tonight. This one, a real a real turning point for Arsenal potentially when they look at being in that top 3 come the end of the season. If we have a little look at both sides then, for Everton tonight, if we focus on them first, 3 changes, including in goal with Ramsey coming in. Holmgard and Beaver Jones also start this one. For Arsenal, 2 changes for them from the Brighton match. Volti's back from illness and Ford makes her first start since the beginning of April. Let's hear from the Arsenal boss, Jonas Eidevall. He says they can't be fooled by Everton's hefty loss to Chelsea. He's speaking ahead of this one.
We're joined ahead of kick-off by Jonas Eidevall, Arsenal manager, alongside Sue Smith as well. It's not very often that I get to speak to you after you've done your team talk. Usually I speak to you beforehand. So can you reveal what you've been saying in there?
I mean, usually we know the lineup for the opposition. Before we have only guessed. Now we need to start guessing the formation. So sometimes that reveals a lot in the lineup. We have an educated guess. So I try to inform them of that, and we speak a little bit about the details that we think is going to be important playing against these 11 Everton players.
I wanted to speak to you about as well the fact that you've had to introduce more teenagers into this matchday squad. There were 5 for the last game against Brighton, and we do know that you have been hit by injuries this season. Have you felt limited with your choices?
No, I never feel limited in per se, because I think it's all about what you can do with the possibilities that you have. I think it's a way of looking at things. I think, of course, it's sad for the players that can't be a part, but it's also an opportunity of those who can. And it's a great opportunity for some of our young players from our academy that's been with us for so many years to be able to show their qualities, to be able to give back to the club that they've been with for so long. And you have to see that as well and be happy for them and work really, really hard together with them in order to help them prepare as good as possible.
Let's bring Sue in as well.
Jonas, how important is it to have Steph Catley and Caitlin Ford back? Obviously, experience and quality to the side.
Yeah, like you said, it's both. It's not only experience, it's also quality. And of course, that gives us options. It gives us tools from the bench in today, for example, to use Steph. And before Caitlin got injured, I thought she was one of the best players in the league. Her ability to take on her defenders 1v1 was great, and let's hope that she can get back to that level as quick as possible.
Definitely, and you've been so unfortunate with injuries. Has that meant that you've had to be quite flexible in terms of like systems and bringing players in?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's part of finding solutions. It's to not getting stuck in old ways of thinking, because if you only have one system to solve things in, then I think you're going to be limited. So it's about trying to be flexible, admit that you will not have all the ideas yourself, to use your whole technical staff in order to generate ideas, create ideas, and most of the time together we can come up with really good ideas. It's very seldom only me or someone else that does it.
Brilliant.
Since you have been the Arsenal manager, Jonas, there have been 14 wins that have been by 4 goals or more. And you've hinted before about Sweden and being there and realising what goal difference it can make. I wanted to get a bit more out of you on that, because clearly it's something that weighs on your mind. When the shackles are off, you let them really go for it.
Of course, but I think you can see that a lot of the other teams in the top of the league have been doing the same this year. Like you see it with United, you see it with Chelsea. They've been absolutely trying for every second of the game to just try and be as ruthless as possible. So the goal difference when you see top 4, it's quite big for each team there. But those things going to make a difference, and you can see that when you see the table today, that's going to be margins. But first and foremost, we need to try and win the game. But of course, we should do our very best every second of the game.
Thank you very much for your time pre-match. Sue, we're going to let you go up to the commentary area, and Jonas has got lots to do. I'm the only one with a bit of time on my hands now. Thank you very much.
Enjoy.
Always the way. Our Sue and Lindsay with Jonas side about that goal difference point. I think we mentioned at the end of last season with Jonas. He likes to talk about goal difference. There is actually a case where Chelsea and Manchester United could be top of the table with 56 points. So the title could come down to goal difference. The European spots could come down to goal difference as well. Do you think Arsenal have earned the right to be there when they're ahead of Manchester City in terms of goals?
Yeah, I mean, in goals, but in terms of obviously the defensive record as well. I think they've been really solid this year, considering the changes they've had to make, and obviously having Leah Williamson come out of there, and now they've got Jennifer Beattie in there. I think she's been a really good, not stand-in, but actually I think she's done a brilliant job in the centre of that defence. I think she's marshalled them, she's used her experience. So yes, the goal difference of goals scored, but actually the amount they shut out, I think it will make a massive difference potentially come the end of the season.
I know, and we're going to talk about it with Chelsea as well. The injuries have clearly affected Chelsea and Arsenal. Have you been surprised at how well these changes have worked for both these sides?
I think both have got big squads and both have to have that, given the Champions League run. Both teams were in the semi-final of the Champions League. I think Chelsea have had the most changes to their starting 11. Probably they have done in the last, more than last season anyway. But I think that's where you have big squads, but I think both have done remarkably well. If you think of Chelsea not having Harder, Kirby, Bright, Buchanan's missed large parts of the season, and we talked for the Arsenal team, Mead, Miedemar, the list goes on, Leah. So they've done really well, but they've had big squads and they've found the rhythm, and fair play to them, they're in it. So fair play.
Do you think this is more a Jonas Eidevall team now? Has he got them where he wants
I
them?
actually think with the injuries, I see more of his identity, because I see the European transition side, the front-footed, the pressing from the front. That's who I would associate Jonas Eidevall with. When he might have a Kim Little or a Viv Miedemar in the team, I don't necessarily associate that type of style with him. I think he's very transitional, front, pace, and they're more technical, gifted players, and you have to find the hybrid of having them in the team. So I actually feel like they've found their formula, but you need your top players, and they will come back and they will give another kick. So then I'm interested how he brings that style with them back in it.
And how that all adapts, isn't it, as well?
Exactly,
and obviously,
yeah.
I think the backroom staff as well, in terms of what they've brought in. So Lydia Bedford potentially to help in terms of that defensive side, and then I was just about to say, and Kelly as well, potentially.
Kelly Smith.
What we're seeing being done up top as well. So it's it's interesting to see what's
Look
going
at
on.
you two dropping truth bombs when we've only got 30 seconds. Good job you talked about goal difference, though. If only we had a couple of keepers. Well, we do. A masterclass on the way.
And then you can still nick a yard with like the bubble step, but then also you can still, whilst you're moving, I can still be balanced to go to the left, to the right. Now we're getting into the nerdy detail. As a female goalie, we can't really have that huge big read, so we have to work with our feet.
After back-flipping their way to another trophy at the weekend, Chelsea turn their attentions back to the league in their second of our matches tonight. And from front to back, they'll need all their weapons, including their rotating keepers. You would think two of the best in the league. 6 clean sheets for Katrin Berger, 2 for Musovic. But what quality do they really have, and what makes them some of the best? A former Chelsea number 1, Carly Telford, has been to see them for a masterclass.
So, brought you here today because I want to ask you some really good questions about goalkeeping. What's the goalkeeper union like here at Chelsea when you're both required lots of different stages?
I always needed the pressure to get to the next level, and I think that's our relationship.
Yeah.
Like even small little games, we
Ultra
both
competitive.
we both
Nobody wants to
hate
lose.
to lose, and I think that is really helpful for me especially.
Yeah. In Anne specifically, I think the competitiveness, you get that out from me, and I think like the focus that we create together, I think in training is amazing.
So let's get into the tactics. How do we keep the ball out of the net, and what's our thought processes to make that happen? Okay, let's go.
I need to get out from and leave my goal, slow you down. I want to make the game predictable. I want to make your next move predictable without giving you too much advantage in the situation. So I need to come out, slow down, still be in balance with everything I do. If I wanted to that side, I would open up a little bit.
Okay. So at this moment, I think, oh, there's a nice gap there now.
Yeah, exactly. You can just run past me. But when you take that touch, either I will lunge and make a spread safe if I feel that I'm close enough, or I will pick to follow you.
Yeah.
To control the situation even more. Like if I have,
yeah,
I will follow, and then in the right moment, right angle, I will use the block.
Thanks, guys. Okay, let's move on to an angled one now.
If you're coming from an angle, it's so much easier for me as a goalkeeper.
The bobble steps, what is that? Because Sajiri's talked about being balanced, so like you say, not flying out.
You know,
so if
when
I'm
you're
running,
coming out, you're doing that.
Okay.
And then you can still nick a yard with like the bubble step, but then also you can still, whilst you're moving, I can still be balanced to go to the left, to the right, because when you just walk it and you take a touch, I actually have to, that's a longer distance to travel. So when I come closer, then I can still give you, you know what, I can give you that side, but then I can either block, either spread and go in that position, or when you take the touch, a bad touch, I can smother and go like straight at the ball.
So outside the box or around the edge of the 18, pretty central. Guru Wrighton's touched out of our feet, left-footed.
We have one defender.
You've got one defender on opposite side, so she's skinned Millie Bright on this side, Magda's on that side. So just talk me through what it looks like.
Remember that you can play with your defender, so the goal is smaller. So obviously, if you have a centre back there, she actually can almost like block probably this half of the goal.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to have a set position where you still can go to that corner, because Guru's left foot is good. But also you have to be ready to go obviously to one step and then push.
What's the footwork? What's the handling? Like, is it top hand? Is it bottom hand? Come on,
I think now we're getting into the nerdy details. Because a female goalie, we can't really have that huge big reach, so we have to work with our feet. Go with this foot, this to move your body to the right direction. A little bit deeper in your
body position,
so you can start your push, then this foot's come again, and then you can push the ball, and that's like...
I think what we're discussing here is really good for people to give them that insight of what you're actually thinking. It's not accident that you're in those positions. I appreciate you both, and good luck for the rest of the season. Thanks, guys.
How good was that? If you want to see more of that, and why wouldn't you? Inside the WSL and extended Inside the WSL Thursday 6:30. Fern's on that too. Busy woman this week. It's brilliant getting that insight from Carly and the keepers, because we do think of the Chelsea, the whole Chelsea team, just as being that quality, but there's not always been that stability this season defensively for them.
No, I would say we've seen a lot of rotation between the two goalkeepers, and there's no denying that they are brilliant goalkeepers. You've seen obviously the stats, and just listening to the way they speak, the detail, the attention to detail in the way obviously they train is brilliant. I think for me as a defender, it probably, the differences in the way they rotate so much at a goalkeeper level, I'm not sure whether that would affect the stability in terms of as you say, they've rotated in defence as well. So for me, having so many changes at a goalkeeper level, I think I'd prefer as a defender to know who I was going to be playing in front of week in, week out, and you might need the odd change here and there, but actually they've rotated so much, Chelsea, and the addition of in the back line as well, they've had to deal with the changes in terms of Millie Bright, Kadisha Buchanan. So there's been a lot of rotation within the squad, and they've dealt with it really well. There's no doubt about that.
Has it worked for them, the 68? I mean, clearly, I would have thought she wouldn't want to make that many changes, 68 in total. But actually, it's meant the players that come in, they've been blooded in, haven't they? They know what they've got to do for that team when it comes to this crucial stage of the season.
Oh, yeah, 100%. They know what they need to do. When they're called upon, they can do a job. It's not like they've been sat on the bench and not had the opportunity to come in and play. So actually, it's probably going to work in their favour, considering they've got so many games now, back-to-back towards the end of the season. You're having to rotate, and then you rotate again, and you know that these players have got the experience to just fit in and slot in like the jigsaw puzzle we saw before. They're actually fitting in really nicely and really well. So it's obviously working for them. Potentially, Emma Hayes might not have wanted to make so many changes, but it's doing a job for them, obviously going forward.
Everton-Chelsea at 8:15 tonight, our second match of the day. We've talked about the defence. One area they're blessed with form at the moment, Karen, is Pernilla Harder and the impact she's made so far this season.
Yeah, she's been out for 5 months with a hamstring injury. And when Chelsea have got 6 games in 19 days, you want to call on someone and you pay an astronomical fee for her when they signed her. Because she's brilliant. She just gives you a different dynamic. And since she's come back in May, these are just her stats. And I think the big one for me is every kind of attacking player, centre forward, you're judged on your goals and your assists. And I think here, the goals has been brilliant, but she's ranked first in everything else. And as an attacking player, that's just unbelievable. And why it's even more important is in this game, Sam Kerr got injured and had to bring her off. And it's not a bad replacement then when you're bringing her on. You know, she's hungry, she's so athletic. And I played against her, she was an absolute nightmare because she was had so much energy. And this back end of the season, that's why it's so important. So we'll just play this clip on. And this has been a bit more of her evolution. I think her game intelligence. I'm going to go back because I think it was just too good to... Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to go again. We'll start it again. Here. I'm going to put it on slow because I think throughout her evolution, she's really improved her game intelligence. She peels off the back shoulder, doesn't get marks on. Then she has uses her arm, pushes away, and then gets the great touch. And this is a centre-forward position. She's very different to Sam Kerr in that aspect. Now this, for me, is when Chelsea are at the best, when they've got these type of areas to exploit. Usually in this, that probably the highest point would be Sam Kerr. And I'm just going to highlight Pernilla Harder there, and I'm going to play it on slow because you just see, again, her intelligence. She sees that centre-forwards ran across, so the back line are naturally dropping. She's holding back, checking where's the space is going to be. No one's going to mark me. It's just a simple side pass across and a tidy finish. And that's a different dimension that she brings to this Chelsea side, and they have massively missed her this season. And the stats for Sam Kerr have gone down. Sam's been doing brilliant, but without Fran and without Pernilla, there's been a big difference to the attacking line. Again, I won't go on about throw-ins because I think I've said enough, but uses her body rolls really well. And I think in this, she's looked up, she's checked her shoulder, she realises that actually Gura Wrighton isn't quite there yet, but she's on the run. So all she does is she puts it into an area, so she's going to go, I'm going to put it in here, and Gura will just run onto it. And I think, again, that's the levels that she's at. But I think the levels in which she's come back on, and I want to put these stats back up. When you come back from a hamstring injury and your game is based around athleticism, that's quite difficult. But I've seen no evidence of it affecting her in the cup final. And since she's come back in May, she's been an absolute breath of fresh air.
I imagine it ruins you if you're the opposition, you see, Fern, that she's going to come off the bench.
I know, and she comes on with such energy as well. Like you said, as a defender, so as a centre-half, you've marked Sam Kerr all game. She's had you run ragged, and then Pernilla Harder comes on and brings that energy, stretches the pitch, and in some of the clips in there that you showed, Kaz, she doesn't make it easy for you to mark her. Like there was one of them where she sat off the 2 centre halves, and as a defender, what you want is you want to be able to get touch tight. You want to be able to mark your centre forward so you know where they are at all times. She doesn't make that a possibility, so she actually gives herself that extra yard of space to be able to say, well, I'm going to create all this space in front of me. Now you're going to have to try and find me. And as well, she's providing assists. So, yeah, not someone you want to come up against, especially towards the latter stages of the game.
Well, we'll see if she starts tonight. Chelsea in action then at 8:15 tonight, the second of our matches. They take on West Ham. Before that, destination Everton as Arsenal's European Express runs into Merseyside, where since Brian Sorensen has come on board, they're on course for a top half finish. We're at Walton Hall Park for the first of our 2 matches tonight. Everton make 3 changes, including Emily Ramsey coming in goal. This is the first time we'll have seen them since a 7-0 thrashing to Chelsea, which they're looking to put behind them tonight. Arsenal, meanwhile, looking for a 3rd consecutive win to cement themselves in the top 3. Vivalti comes in, as does Caitlin Ford. Let's hear from the Everton boss, Brian Sorensen. He says that Chelsea defeat doesn't define them.
Brian, Aggie Beaver-Jones was tied for the last game. You've got her back. She's one of 3 changes, including your goalkeeper. And it looks as well like a change in formation. Can you just talk us through that?
No, formation is the same. We play same way as we did against Chelsea. Of course, the way we're defending is probably a bit different, but formation-wise, it's the same.
And is that a risk, playing the same way you did against Chelsea, given that was the heaviest defeat?
Not with the ball. Looked quite good there, so just have to be more ruthless when we get into the box. But defensively, we changed it a bit up, and hopefully we will see a better performance today of that.
And have you demanded a reaction to that performance?
Yeah, of course. We talked about it. That was not fun to be a part of, and that happens sometimes. But we dealt with it. We're over. We are looking forward, and we're looking forward to this game, and hopefully we can showcase ourselves from the best way.
You have spoken to me previously about a desire to have one of the big scalps. How much is this a real opportunity, given the form that Arsenal have had, scoring multiple goals as well? Yeah, they're of course really good. I think if we click on the day, we're defensively strong, as we've been showing a large part of the season that we can be. Then we have a real chance. But of course, if we're not that, they're still big favorites. But we'll do everything we can in our power to here at home, deliver a really good result.
We stood here talking to Emma Hayes after that 7-0 win for Chelsea over Everton, and she said they weren't that great, as in Chelsea weren't that great in the first 15-20 minutes. Can Everton take that? Can they use that tonight?
Yeah, and I think they'll take that in terms of they started the game well, and potentially it was Chelsea's clinicalness that obviously took over to win 7-0. But I think what Brian will do is continue to play the way that they have always played since the start of the season. They're building an identity, which is being that possession-based team that are going to build out from the back, that are going to play through the thirds.
You can see that. He's built it.
They very rarely go long. They very rarely play direct and into the final third. They like to build through the phases of play. And I think that's clearly the way he's done that. And if you speak to players, they'll say the same, is that he's brought that with him. So he's brought that kind of stability in around the team. I think going forward and for them for next season, it's about how they can have that cutting edge in front of goal for me. I think, they've only scored in 24 goals across the course of the season. And for me to be getting anywhere near Villa, who are obviously the team above them, they've obviously got a Rachel Daly in their side who can get them 20 goals a season. They need to be finding that type of player for them to maybe be able to push on. But I think from where they were last season, finishing 10th, to where they are now, cementing 6th places, they'll take that as a great season.
When you talk about Fern strikers, if we look at Arsenal and Stina Blackstenius, she's someone again who seems to have found a bit more form and confidence towards the back end of this season.
Yeah, which is interesting considering the way Arsenal were scrapping around for a striker in January. I think she could have gone one or two ways, really, couldn't it? She could have gone into a shell and maybe, not really had the confidence, but actually she's gone the other way and come out and said, look, I am the striker and I will put myself in a position to be your number one striker. And I think she's done that brilliantly. We saw her against, Brighton, the way she scored those 2 very early goals, and she should have got a hat-trick in that game as well. So she's obviously coming out and taking, as you can see here, she's taken a lot more touches within the opposition box. She's a lot more direct, and similar to the way we saw Harder in the last clip, she either can peel off defenders' shoulders and make those runs into the channel, or she can come short and really stretch the play. So yeah, for me, she's been brilliant.
We'd love to lay it at the feet of Kelly Smith and the work that she's done since she's come in, but Stina Blackstenius was already building that confidence, wasn't she?
I actually think the window closing and then them saying, look, we can't bring anyone else in, then meant I felt that she gained her confidence because, like Fern said, she was the number 9. Arsenal here, really good at pressing, really good pressing team. This was a little bit early on, and you see the confidence wasn't quite there. This was the change, where Arsenal have gone, look, we are a transition team, we'll put her in the channels, we'll face her up, bang, clinical finish. There was a significant difference in her, I think, when they were like, look, we can't bring anyone else in. Again, pressing from the front, I'm not sure why you're trying to play out. She had 2 options there, and I thought she should have passed it, and she just had the confidence to finish it. I really like this player. I think she's top quality. I think she's brilliant in European football. I think she's brilliant on the transition. And if they could get the best out of her again and again, she'll get you 20 goals every season.
Just briefly, one touch on Leah Vulti, who's come back in from illness. How key is it that she's back?
Yeah, I think key for Arsenal, obviously, in that midfield. I think Jonas spoke about her in the press conference before the game, in that she's had to adapt into the way that Arsenal play and the style of having Kim Little alongside her. She's not the lone midfielder. She's actually playing alongside someone. So actually, I think she can help Arsenal build from the midfield and progress through the thirds.
All right, then. That's our first match of the night, then. This one kicking off shortly. Everton up against Arsenal. We'll bring you it here on Sky Sports.
Are you ready for it?
What a season this has been. A time for the dreamers, but also when cold reality hits home. Will there be one more twist?
Ready for it?
Yeah, we are. We're with you all the way in the WSL from tonight to the Manchester derby on Sunday. Then, wherever the drama heads on the final day, we will be there. Will it be with Chelsea? Where will there perhaps be a surprise tonight? We've got their match later at 8:15, West Ham against Chelsea. First up, though, the race for the European places. Arsenal are at Everton at Merseyside tonight. Another stop on the top 3 express starts here then. Our back of the bus crew for this one, Sue Smith, we've already heard, and seen her tonight, is alongside David Stow.
Caroline, thank you. Well, it has been the most intriguing of WSL seasons, influenced by the fact that the top teams haven't always had it easy. And the 2 sides on show tonight have certainly had their challenges of late. The last few months have been tough physically for Arsenal. Last time out was punishing numerically for Everton, taken apart by a rampant Chelsea who have eyes on the big prize. Arsenal are not mathematically out of the race for the WSL title, but only wins and help for elsewhere will do if they are to taste that particular success. It's the fight for European football that most occupies the minds of those walking out in black here tonight. So to the team news then. The Toffees have dusted themselves down from their biggest ever WSL defeat last time out against Chelsea. The team is freshened up from the 7-0 reverse, with one of their 3 changes coming in goal, where Emily Ramsey replaces Courtney Brosnan. The loss of Gabby George to injury last month has been tough to take at the back, where Natalie Bjorn is a booking away from a ban, with the Hongard twins potentially slotting in alongside her. The defensive nous and attacking ability of former Arsenal defender Catherine Valle could be key tonight. Nicoline Sorensen wears the armband. The top scorer Katja Suisse has 3 goals in her last 3 games. Aggie Beaver-Jones makes her first start since late March. Those waiting in the wings include former gunner Leonie Meyer and Izzy Christiansen. Arsenal have had to stay mentally strong recently amidst a string of physical setbacks. Manuela Zinsberger, though, makes appearance number 100 for the club on the 4th anniversary of her signing. The back 3 is unchanged for the emphatic victory at Brighton, with Jen Beattie starting a 3rd successive game. Leah Velti returns to the middle of the park, having been taken ill in the warm-up at Brighton. Katie McCabe has scored twice in her last 4 games against the Toffees. And Jodie Taylor turns 37 today, but has a watching brief from the start, replaced from the off by Caitlin Ford, who returned from injury as a substitute last time out. The bench also includes Steph Catley and ex-Everton loanee from earlier in the season, Gio Quiros. So there's a lot of talk about the ACL injuries affecting Arsenal right now, but Everton have had to deal with one of their own such setbacks this season, Sue.
They have, yeah. Nico Sorensen, she was out for a while with an ACL injury, and it's just like having her back is like having a new signing. Technically gifted, she's pacey, she's strong, works so hard, got a great engine on her, and she obviously scored that great goal against Reading. You just think her creativity today, that's going to be key. And then for Arsenal, I've gone with Katie McCabe. I just think, you know, she's lots of injuries in the Arsenal side, but she's a real leader. Certainly stepped up. Her work rate's never in question. She's so strong defensively, but she's that real outlet going forward and adding width to the side. And you just think with her being so creative, she's constantly providing those assists. So again, I think she's going to be key today.
She's in very good company where those numbers are concerned, incidentally. And pops back in to the team huddle to make her presence felt verbally. Leadership all important, of course, at this stage of the season, and with so much up for grabs for those sides at the top of the WSL in particular. Everton looking to consolidate and settle and recover from defeat last time out. Heavy defeat, of course. Jonas Eidevall just looking to keep his side going, keep them ticking toward the end of a campaign which has certainly had its challenges along the way. Plenty of pain in the Arsenal ranks of late, with the treatment room filling up. Everton felt the full force of Chelsea in their last game. And in charge of both sides tonight, Cheryl Foster, a former WSL regular with Liverpool, of course, and at one stage, Wales' most capped female footballer. Well, history favours the Gunners massively in this matchup. Arsenal have won the last 14 WSL fixtures against Everton, including December's 1-0 win in this season's reverse fixture. Arsenal had 33 shots in that game, comfortably the most Everton have faced in a WSL game this season. But the hosts will be aiming to stand tall after that chastening defeat to Chelsea last time out.
Yeah, it's about bouncing back from that, isn't it? And, you know, Brian Sorensen actually spoke about that, and he said when they get the opportunities, they have to take them, because there were chances, got themselves into promising positions, but just couldn't quite find that clinical touch or that clinical pass, which is exactly what you need against an Arsenal side that are in very good form.
And it's always interesting to see how teams line up when they're facing the top sides in this division. We were having a debate about how Everton would line up before kick-off. We'll just let the early moments settle to see exactly how things are going to play out.
Yeah, it looks like, you know, that it is a 3 at the back, and you would suggest that in possession it's maybe more of a 3-4-3, out of possession a 3-5-2. But yeah, I think there'll be times that they'll probably have the 5 at the back against this Arsenal side when they push forward. But you usually see that from Everton when they play against sides that they think they can beat. It's maybe more of a 4 at the back, but yeah, they've certainly matched Arsenal up here.
So much of management is not necessarily down to tactics, but about the mental side of the game, about making sure the team is set and ready to go and confident they can go out and do a good job. I certainly felt there were positives in the game against Chelsea, but it's difficult to feel positive when you've let so many goals in.
I think that's where you reflect on things, isn't it? You watch the videos and you show them the positives, and, you know, can you do more of this? But then also have a look at where you can do better. And there were times when they were pressing, they were just pressing individually rather than collectively as a team, and that has to be better tonight.
Everton starting to get possession and to stroke it around. The likes of Aurora Gali tonight could be key in that, adding composure to the centre of the park. Forward it goes towards captain Sorensen. Beattie. Rafa Sosa helping it away up towards Caitlin Ford. Just asked the question of whether she was unfairly nudged off the ball. Ford again looking for the run of Beaver Jones. Back to Emily Ramsey, who was in the Everton side before injury struck. Anna Bennison. Sorensen again from Gali. Bennison wants it back. It's going to roll away of McCabe instead. Now Claire Wheeler. Holmgaard to Natalie Bjorn. We thought she would line up in the middle of the 3. That centre-half experience all important when you're in an unfamiliar 3 at the back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where you've got to be quite flexible, haven't you? And, you know, Everton obviously got their injuries as well. No Gabby George. I think she's a huge loss for them, but Everton have started well, good in possession, like they mentioned in the studio, like to play through the thirds.
Here they go, looking to try and test the likes of Beattie and Fubben Moy. Beattie rising to steer it away. Frida Mornham moving it on herself. And Arsenal do get the free kick in the end. You need that composure in the middle of the park, don't you? But you also need that exuberant enthusiasm to win the ball back, which won't always work according to plan. Robin Moy for Blackstenius, who's on the run here and managed to get the wrong side of Bjorn, but Emily Ramsey swiftly off her line.
And I think that's what Ramsey's going to have to make sure that she's very much on her toes, because if they do play that high line, we know how good Blackstenius can be, running in beyond, stretching the play.
She was part of the Birmingham side which beat Arsenal last season and keeping a clean sheet in the process. Benison moves it on. Once again looking long for Beaver Jones, who manages to profit from the loose touch from Beattie, who certainly did bite back. Sarah Holmgaard. Bjorn. Touch from Gali for Wheeler. Wheeler again for Karen Holmgaard. Benison with a nice move to navigate her way past McCabe. All were mopped up by Arsenal, who are delighted to have Leah Valti back from illness after she was meant to start the Brighton game. It was unable to after being taken ill during the warm-up.
I think that's always difficult as well, isn't it, when a player drops out in the warm-up? But again, I was listening to Jonas Eidevall, and he said they've done a lot of what-ifs meetings. So what if somebody gets injured in the warm-up? How are we going to cope with that? And they obviously coped very well with it. But she's such an important player to this Arsenal side. The way that she receives the ball, the quality, she's such an intelligent footballer.
Here she is up against Benison. Moving it on for Blackstenius. Sarah Holmgaard making her presence felt.
I think she's certainly been told to make sure you get out and don't allow Blackstenius to turn, but I think you can see there, can't you? Everton have started well in terms of the possession. They have kept the ball well, looked to play forward, but not really much in the final third for either side so far.
Sarah Holmgaard there making the most of her first WSL start. All previous 4 appearances in the league have been as a substitute. He spent a spell on loan in Denmark earlier this season. You'd expect good levels of communication at the back for Everton as well, considering 2 of the 3 are twin sisters. They've always played together as well in their professional career. In fact, the only time that they haven't was when Sarah was in Denmark on loan earlier in this campaign.
Both of them are quite flexible, aren't they, in terms of can play in those defensive positions, can also play a little bit further forward, whether that's holding midfield, as a fullback that likes to get forward. But yeah, certainly communication should be good, shouldn't it?
Now, the issue we've got here is that the ball is not up to standard, so it's being switched. Cheryl Foster alerted by Emily Ramsey. Bjorn. Touch back for Wheeler. Gali. Moving it on, moving Everton up the field. Plenty of options forward in blue. Benison finding Sorensen. Looking to take on McCabe. Manages to whip the ball over, but can't quite find the right angle to find anyone in the middle.
Again, it's good build-up play from Everton. Nice movement in those midfield areas, lots of rotation. And then they look to get the ball out wide. And I mentioned Sorensen, that's what she's happy to do, that 1v1 against Katie McCabe. Can I take her on once she gets a yard? Can I get the delivery in? But just can't whip her foot around because there is players in the box to aim at.
2 goals in her last 4 games. Her first goals for 2 years. So a player full of confidence, having come back from that awful knee injury. Is Ford. Well, quite literally taking the law into her own hands there. Not to be pushed around tonight. An early yellow card as well, as a result of the coming together.
Again, Ford, another important player to have back fit and available, a quality and experience because of the amount of players that they've got out injured. Just having her back is, yeah, so key. It's not what you want so early on though, is it? Yellow card up against this Arsenal front line.
Caitlin Ford keen to really get her place back in the side, having missed 4 matches through injury. Such a regular before that. Key part of the Arsenal plan. Benison moving it backwards. Karen Holmgaard and Natalie Björn. Forward again by Sarah Holmgaard. Just a little too much on it. Well, important to take a lot of positives from Everton's season so far. The last game, of course, gets the headlines, but they are 9 points better off than they were at this stage of last season. They've already won more games and more points this season than in the whole of last season. And if they win one more match, it will be the most ever that they have won in a WSL season. Campaign potentially drawing to a close on a real high.
Yeah, I just think there's been so much change, hasn't there, at Everton over the past couple of years. So you can see now what Brian Sorensen's trying to do, what he's trying to build. They do have an identity and a way of playing, and then it's just about what next. How are they going to then progress next season? And it is just about that final third, that can we score more goals when we get into good positions? Because you can see some of the quality, even in these first sort of 11, 12 minutes, qualities that they have on the ball.
And they'll be looking to get Katja Snoeis in on the action a little bit more. Here she is chasing, trying to get the ball off Velti. Three goals in her last 3 games. Everton's top scorer this season with 6 goals, which underlines what you're saying there. More goals required, only 5 of those coming in the WSL. Robin Moy, all the way back to Zinsberger. Morna, Robin Moy. Neatly played out by Arsenal, who have Blackstenius now on the charge. Ford in the middle, McCabe joining as well. McCabe was free, but the ball didn't arrive at her feet.
Absolutely brilliant from Arsenal, though, the way they built out from the back. Everton tried to press them and win the ball high up, but they were so calm and composed, and then they get the ball out wide. It's a decent run into the channel, and then, like you say, she's got options in there. Can she find somebody? McCabe just on the edge of the area, that would have been the better option. Just can't quite find it, but really good play in the build-up from Arsenal.
Emily Ramsey on alert for this Arsenal corner. Over it goes towards Robin Moy, who just couldn't quite break free.
Yeah, there's just nobody in at the far post for Arsenal. They'd all sort of gone centrally. Ruben Moy had gone to that central position, and she goes over the top of everybody.
She's been important for Jonas Heideval this season. A career best 32 all competition appearances this season for her, 26 of those from the start. Injuries all over the park, of course, for Arsenal, but the likes of Leah Williamson missing football, and Raphael as well missing matches. She's been a constant.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it does give opportunities to players, doesn't it, when you have injuries to key players. Same with Jen Beattie coming in, maybe not having as much game time as what she would have wanted, but has just stepped in and done well.
Ball given away by Everton. Pelova looks to seize upon the chance. Trying to burrow her way through. Backed up here by Frida Mornham. Helped away as it looked like it would land at Caitlin Ford's feet or head. In goes McCabe. Up and away and out off the Republic of Ireland international. We've had 15 minutes. When you've lost 7-0, the first 15 minutes of the next game are all important in terms of confidence and well-being.
They are, and Everton have started well. They've been good on the ball. They look organised defensively. You know, I know Arsenal had that really good move there that led to a corner, but overall, I think, you know, Brian Sorensen will be quite happy with how they've started.
Ramsey has it. Touch from Gali. Trying to get the forward line in the game a little more. They've lost out here to Velti. Blackstenius. Pelova once again. Blackstenius trying to swivel and shoot. And she was watched all the way by Bjorn, and out it goes for a corner.
She just looks so sharp, doesn't she, at the moment, Blackstenius? As soon as the ball comes into it, it's how can I turn, how can I manoeuvre this so that I can get a shot on target? And in the end, it's actually really good defending from Bjorn. Gets across and gets that all-important touch. Yeah, she's certainly a player in form at the moment, Blackstenius.
Yeah, 4 in her last 4. And Arsenal's top scorer in all competitions this season with 18. In the mix it goes. Dealt with up towards Benison. Now it's on defensive duty. But Everton can break free here. Beaver Jones. 3 in blue up with her. Another one arriving here in the shape of Sorensen. Caitlin Ford keen to get the ball, a little too keen perhaps.
It's good play there from Aggie Beaver-Jones. I think she's been missed as well when she's not in the side. Just the ability to just dribble past players and take the pressure off the defence, and then looks for the width of Sorensen, who wins a side a free kick. And that's Caitlin Ford looking to get herself back and help her defence out, but it is a foul. Goes through the player to win the ball.
Into the mix it goes. Away this time by Beattie. Both sides looking to threaten in the air as well as on the floor. That's loose, and it's Ford's. Couldn't quite keep it away from Bjorn. Beaver Jones taking the game to Velti. Gali. And they'll build from the back again with Bjorn. Katie McCabe looking to tidy up here. Incidentally, as the Arsenal corner was being prepared moments ago, she just came across here to Jonna Seideval to take on a few instructions. Manager and captain working in close quarters together, making sure the side is well versed for the moments to come. Kevin Moy into Mornham, who's decided it's warm enough to not need the gloves, which she had on in the early moments. McCabe. Blackstenius. Was certainly dispossessed and has gone down in some pain here. Looks like she's lost her boot. And Everton put the ball out of play to make sure she can be seen to.
She looks hurt there, doesn't she? I think as the ball gets played into her feet, you know, it's great centre forward play, holding the ball up, and I think, yeah, it's just accidental, isn't it? But it's down the back of the Achilles. It's always going to hurt. She's going to play the ball. It's just that back foot there. Takes her boot off, and certainly a sore one.
It's one of those that probably doesn't feel accidental when it happens to you and you've got your back to the player, but didn't seem to be any malice in that or intent. Well, the onus has been on Stina Blackstenius to score goals, of course, with the loss of Beth Mead and Vivian Miedema to ACL injuries.
Yeah, I think that the stats show that, don't they? And, you know, I just think she's always been a great player, but I just think she's adding to her game all the time. And at the moment, she's probably in the best form that I've seen her. I'm just watching her movement's been great as well, a way that she just drops into little pockets at times, and it's difficult for defenders to know whether to go with or whether not to, because then you know that she can also get in beyond and stretch the play. So she's got lots of different facets to her game. Thankfully she's up on her feet and okay.
Has really caught the eye with her form for her club, but obviously also does the business for her country, averaging a goal every 3 games for Sweden. 2-time Olympic silver medalist with them as well. Finishing 3rd at the last World Cup. Of course, the World Cup is well and truly upon us in the women's game. Arsenal trying to escape, but being pestered by Beaver-Jones and Sorensen. Dennison takes over, on towards Gali. Ramsey taking her time, almost a little too long. Just about found its way through. Goalkeeper on a season-long loan from Manchester United. Welty stepping in, Warnham as well. Back to Zinsberger. Pelova. To drop a little deeper after the withdrawal of Leah Volti last time out, which impressed Jonas Eideval, who has been talking a lot about her ability on the ball, but also her versatility in the last week or so.
I think that's been key, hasn't it, for Arsenal with all the injuries? Players have had to be flexible.
And here go Everton, looking to try and shock Arsenal. Benison never got hold of it. Pretty much a swing and a miss from a really promising moment. Welty steps in. Arsenal want the ball, and it goes their way. Well, this looked like it could be their moment.
It's a real chance for them, wasn't it? You know, it's good play initially on the edge of the box, just rolled for Benison on her right foot. You know, no pressure on the ball. She's got to do better. Player of her ability, she'll be gutted with that effort.
Blackstenius wins a corner. A moment of promise and now a moment of concern for Everton. They leave Hannah Benison as the only player forward. Corner with plenty of height, but also one that tempted Emily Ramsey off her line successfully. Aurora Gali, who started 4 of the last 5 WSL games now, having been a peripheral figure in the months previous. Eva Jones down. Maritz away looking for Palova. Well, interesting stat that emerged out of the reverse fixture was that Arsenal had 33 shots against Everton, the most Everton had faced in the WSL this season. Just the one so far, Sue, for Arsenal.
Which is a real positive from an Everton perspective. I think Arsenal will obviously, you know, want some more, I think, in that game as well. That a lot of the shots were outside the box, so I think from an Everton perspective they could say, okay, they're from long range. But yeah, I think the structure of Everton defensively has looked strong so far, and Arsenal are really having to work hard to try and break them down at the moment.
Patience required by the Gunners here, but also concentration for Everton to keep the game the way it is. Blackstenius just straying offside.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's what Everton will know, that they can't switch off at all because of the quality of these Arsenal players. They will punish you.
Well, managers are always interesting to watch on the touchline, whether they're writing notes or speaking to people watching the game from on high. Coaching staff up here with us, watching down in the crow's nest, if you like, up here.
Can't know what they're saying though. I'm trying.
We do have a terrific view of proceedings here, and in the background you can see Anfield rising above the trees as well. And just see the very tops of Goodison Park as well from here too. What a view we have indeed. Your view's just been spoilt because you've got us on your television. Sorensen up against McCabe, who wins out. Multi back to Arsenal's trio at the back. Palova, neatly done, but Noel Maritz couldn't quite get on to the loose ball. The challenge as she tried to offload. One of those matches so far without too many high points in front of goal, but it's well and truly competitive in the middle of the park, and Caitlin Ford might find the target, and she does. Just when Arsenal might have been feeling the strain of trying to get the breakthrough. A challenging season could still end on a high for the Gunners. They've had their ups and downs this term, but they are determined to finish strongly. And it has been a tough opening half an hour for them against a determined Everton side.
And that's the thing with this Arsenal team, you cannot switch off for 1 second. You know, Everton, again, trying to play the ball out from the back, which they have done. It's a poor pass into the middle. Caitlin Ford, completely unmarked, but it's a really good finish. She has to compose herself. You can see Everton just trying to play the ball out. Bjorn's looking for that pass in there. It's good press from Arsenal straight away. It's a great pick out. When it falls to Ford, it's a great finish into that far corner. You know, good intelligence. You can see she just has a little glance. As the ball comes in, she glances, sees where the goalkeeper Emily Ramsey is, and just puts it into that far corner. Really good play from Arsenal.
Sometimes you score by smashing the ball home. Sometimes you just have to guide it there. Mistake from Vubben-Moy. Everton could be in business, but what a recovery. And after a suspect moment, a superb one from the centre half. Another crossing that asks questions, out as far as Benison. It's there for Beaver Jones. Does well to alter the touch from right to left, but can't find the target with the finish.
What a response from Everton. Real opportunity to equalise there. You know, this time it's more of a direct ball through to Snoys. You know, Vubben-Moy makes that mistake. She's got to shoot quicker. She takes too long, which allows Vubben-Moy to get back. Yes, you can praise the recovery challenge because it is a great challenge. You've got to time that to perfection, and she does. But can Snoys just hit that a little bit sooner?
Mornham with Pelova in front of her, and Gali right there with her. Vubben-Moy. Pelova makes the run. Looks to keep Arsenal ticking over here. Tries to help it back towards Frida Mornham. Down she goes. Well, she certainly felt like she was caught, but she never at any point claimed for anything.
No, she didn't. I think, can we see it better from this angle as Marnham? Yeah, you can't really. This is probably a better angle from Marnham. Yeah, she does get clipped, but like you say, there was no complaints from her.
A lot of talk recently about how to pronounce Frida's surname. And after discussions, indeed, it is Frida Mornham rather than Frida Marnham. There's a lot of people have a lot of different versions, but having spoken to the right person, we have the conclusive answer.
I've just said it wrong, haven't I?
I think it just rolled off the tongue.
And you told me as well beforehand.
I did my best. Here's Beattie. This is as the top 3 and 4 stand in the WSL as Blackstenius tries to extend the Arsenal advantage. They are, of course, trying to fend off Manchester City in those top 3 European spots. Looking up at Chelsea and Manchester United, with Chelsea the opportunity, of course, to go top tonight, playing after this game. A match you can see live with us on Sky Sports. Towards Blackstenius it goes, away by Everton. Mornham trying to keep the pressure on. Pelova and McCabe, who always fancies hitting them from there, and that's why. Super hit. Arsenal are cementing their place in the European spots. And Katie McCabe comes up with a typical Katie McCabe strike.
Well, we know she's capable of those, don't we? And Arsenal do well to keep the pressure on. They don't allow Everton to play out. And you can see here, it's, you know, Everton again trying to clear their lines. They don't clear their lines, take too many touches in there. You can't do that with the pressure. As soon as Katie McCabe gets the ball, there's no pressure on her. She's got one thought in her mind: I'm going to have a shot and I'm going to try and get it in the bottom corner. I wonder, could Emily Ramsey maybe do a little bit better there? She is at full stretch, but because of the distance that it travels, maybe I'm being a little bit harsh. I think she gets a touch on it. But I don't know if she'll be disappointed that she couldn't get more on that, shift her feet across a little bit quicker. You can't take anything away from Katie McCabe's effort.
3 and 5 against Everton for McCabe. Their last goal coming at the beginning of April, that super strike against Manchester City, in a victory that could prove crucial to the final standings. 4 minutes and 45 seconds between the two goals, and Everton having held out for fully half an hour. will be very disappointed to now find themselves 2 goals down.
And that's what the top teams can do, isn't it? You can, you know, hold them for a certain period of time. As soon as they get that breakthrough, they're just ruthless. And Everton now just have to go back to how they were playing, but not give the ball away like that. Yeah, I think it just shows there, doesn't it? They've won it 5 times in Everton's, you know, defending third. So that has to be better from them when they're playing the ball out from the back. But again, you can praise Arsenal, how they press from the front.
Everton have, of course, had a couple of sights of goal themselves, but the chances haven't been taken, unlike with Arsenal. Here's Pelova, a snappy turn from her. Looking to set Caitlin Ford away. Blackstenius just hovering in the middle. Ford might fancy this alone. But for the slip, she might have got a bit more on that to really trouble Emily Ramsey.
Just a really quick break, isn't it, from Arsenal? And again, I think that's something that Everton have tried to work on. Don't get beat in that transition. Can we get players back? You've got players in this form, the quality, the pace, how direct they can be. But yeah, it was quite a big touch out of her feet forward, so she was stretching for it, which probably couldn't get the power that she wanted.
Blackstenius. Back to McCabe, who sets off again. Maggie Beaver-Jones after her. Zinsberger moves it on. Arsenal cementing their position in 3rd place in the table. They have finished in the top 3 in every season since 2014. A campaign in which they finished 4th. And over the past 7 games before tonight, they've won 6 of those matches, the joint most points of any team in the WSL in that period. Certainly looking to end the season strongly, as the clash between 2 sees the game stopped. Well, let's remind you, of course, of games ahead in the WSL. With us live on Sky Sports Sunday at 6:30 is the Manchester derby. Manchester United against Manchester City United. Will have to respond to whatever Chelsea do tonight, of course. And then we will be somewhere on the final day on Saturday, May the 27th. Coverage starting at 1:30. There will be twists and turns between now and then, so our location will be updated in time. Ramsey's clearance straight to Pelova. Blackstenius, Ford's with her. And it was straight at the Everton goalkeeper, who was relieved to get the ball back so quickly in hand.
Yeah, again, it's a poor play out from the back this time from Ramsey. Pelova straight away on it, and Blackstenius has got one thought in her mind. She had McCabe as an option, but it was a striker in such good form. She's going to have a shot from there, isn't she?
One of the mental battles in football when you're playing it out from the back, I guess, and it goes wrong, is that that's the way you're meant to be playing. You've got to do it again.
Yeah, I love that that's the philosophy and their style, and they stick to it. I do think there's times where you have to clear your lines.
McCabe, Ford waiting in the middle. Blackstenius there as well. It is Blackstenius who heads it. Ford is there to pick up the pieces. Everton appeal for a flag, which is not forthcoming. And an Arsenal 3rd goal gives the Toffees an awful lot to do and think about with half-time approaching.
Yeah, I think Ramsey does well initially to save the first header, but then it's who's the first one to react? It's Ford, and you know, again, it's Everton. They're playing the ball out from the back. Arsenal catch them, and straight away they're on the attack when the ball comes out wide to to McCabe. It's a good crossing. We spoke about her assist, and a good header just pulls off the player. And you can see that Ramsey, she's trying to push it away from Ford, but just can't get enough on it. So it's a good response, but good play from Arsenal. The way that they shift the ball, move the ball so well. They're looking for offside, but she's not offside. Really good goal from Arsenal yet again.
Easily onside, an easy finish in the end. That gives Caitlin Ford 12 goals in all competitions this season. Half of those coming in the WSL. And Arsenal might have already secured the points. They showed their ruthless streak in the last game, of course. They were 2-0 up within 8 minutes at Brighton. Stina Blackstenius with both of those. McCabe trying to steal the ball, and she does so successfully. Just cannot rest when she is charging down that left side. Always looking to profit from mistakes. And Everton now bring everybody back to try and keep the scoreboard under some sort of control before half-time. From Mornham, free header, 4-0. Lotte Wubben-Moy adds her name to the score sheet. And after a promising Everton start, Arsenal are going through the gears.
Well, Arsenal have got so many threats in the air from set pieces. They've got a good delivery, and that's exactly what they've got there. It's a brilliant delivery from the left-hand side. Wubben-Moy gets in front of her marker, and it's a top header. Yeah, you can see the hand up, knows exactly where she's putting it, just lofts it into a position. Brave Wubben-Moy gets in front of Sorensen. You can see she takes the player away to then go front. It's really good movement from the defender, takes her away to then get in front, and real powerful header past Emily Ramsey. Everton will be disappointed with this because of how they started, but Arsenal just ruthless.
Sorensen, McCabe with a toe in. Wheeler, and now Beaver-Jones. That will be, I was going to say Wubben-Moy, she's happy to let it bounce. And she'll be delighted with that goal, incidentally, because she hadn't scored this season. Last season she bagged a career best 4 goals in the campaign. It's basically a year since her last goal, which came in a 7-0 win against Aston Villa. And Arsenal are sort of heading in that direction score-wise, with 4 already before half-time. Wubben-Moy. On to Palova. Blackstenius. Maritz makes her way into the middle. Given away once again. Blackstenius the beneficiary this time. McCabe, long way out, but it doesn't stop her having a go. Well, she's a confident player, and this is a confident team.
Well, we were right behind the shot, weren't we? And you could just see the swerve on it, and you thought it was just going to fly into that top corner. It's unlucky, but like I say, so much confidence. She knows she's got the ability to score from there. Just wide this time.
When the goals are going in as they are, no one's ever going to criticise you for having a go from that kind of range. Ford's in on a hat-trick here. And Emily Ramsey just about did enough.
Yeah, Ramsey does well, actually comes off the line. It's a really good header from Jennifer Beattie, and poor defending allows Ford to get in. Ramsey off the line quickly, and makes herself as big as she possibly can be.
Shouts of hands. Indeed, it's given against Arsenal. Everton looking to press home the advantage, while Arsenal perhaps weren't at their most alert. Karen Holmgaard. Björn. On for Benison. Gali. Wheeler. We're going to have a minimum of 2 added minutes. Ball dangerously close to Caitlin Ford from an Everton point of view there. Important sliding challenge from Wheeler. Gali. Faye. Just skip away from Moritz. Robin Moy in the way. She hasn't had a lot of chance to get forward so far, Catherine Faye. 16 appearances for Arsenal in the 2018-19 season, in which they won the title. Gali finding Beattie rather than the back of the Arsenal net. Robin Moy running out of room. Beaver Jones. Looking to bend one, or perhaps looking for Sorensen. Either way, it didn't quite work out for Everton. It's a big team talk in terms of trying to lift the players out there in blue ahead of the second half.
Yeah, and it's a similar story, isn't it, where they've played well in patches. You know, we've looked at how good they've been in possession at times, got themselves into promising positions, but just haven't had that ruthless streak in the final third. And Arsenal have punished them when they've tried to play the ball out the back. They've shown real quality going forward.
And that is half-time. A case of quality shining through in the end in that first 45 minutes. Everton starting in disciplined fashion and looking tidy on the ball, trying to exert themselves on Arsenal, who in the end just came roaring back. A couple from Caitlin Ford, a Katie McCabe strike, and a header from Lotte Wubben-Moy, all in the mix to give Arsenal a very comfortable lead at the break, and Everton with plenty to think about ahead of a second half, which could see a lot more goals too. Everton 0, Arsenal 4 at half-time.
Arsenal 4-0 up at Everton in our first game of the night. Fern Will and Karen Carney here. Karen, who said to our producer, don't worry, there'll be plenty to talk about around about 25 minutes. And then came the goals.
Yeah, to be fair, I thought it was coming because we know that Everton like to play out. They like to be possession-based. They very rarely go direct and in behind. And the pressure was coming. You're playing an Arsenal team that just want you to have the ball in those areas and they'll hunt you down. And it comes from a throw-in. They're trying to play out. They should have gone long. They didn't. They avoided it. And then Arsenal just hunt. And the ball comes in to Ford. She checks the shoulder there. Sees there's no defender around her. Sees that she can take the early shot. And they find themselves 1-0 up. But I have to say it was coming from an Everton perspective, not going longer in their possession.
From one follows two.
Yeah, I think obviously what you've just been saying there, these goals form a little bit of a pattern. It's all within Everton's own half, and you know they can't clear the lines here. Raffaele puts on a little bit of pressure to force the error, and then you know here from Katie McCabe, the first thought in her mind is just to strike it. You see she has a little look, great strike from here on the edge of the box. Obviously Everton anticipating that they're going to play out, they haven't got enough time to get pressure on the ball, and it's a good finish from McCabe.
Ford back with her first start since April because of injury and gets a second.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Everton playing out the thing that we mentioned. Look, that's your philosophy. You know, it's going to be high risk, and you sometimes have got to suffer if this is the style that you want for your manager, for your team to implement on. But you give it away, and again, against a transitional team that is Arsenal, they're gonna put you under pressure and they're gonna punish you. McKay puts in a great ball. Stina Blacksenius unopposed in there, heads it down, and then Ford then gets an easy tap in. But if you beat a press in the lower areas, be more expansive then. And I just think Everton, if I'm the goalkeeper, Everton goalkeeper, I'm losing my head with my defenders and putting me under pressure all the time.
We know they made that change coming into this, changing the goalkeeper out. And then Lotte Wubbenmoy gets her first in, what, a year?
As you say, changing the goalkeeper, also changing the defence. And for me here, the marking at the back post just isn't good enough. Sorensen gets turned inside out a little bit from Lotte Wubbenmoy, but she, you know, she's aggressive in the way she attacks the ball, and it's a great header from her. So you can't take that away from her.
A sniff of the familiar for Everton. They were 5 down at half-time against Chelsea last time out and went on to lose 7-0. Arsenal have won the most games by 4+ goals since Jonas Eideveld took over in the league. Will they maintain that gap in the second 45?
McCabe, who always fancies hitting them from there, and that's why. Super hit. Arsenal are cementing their place in the European spots. And Katie McCabe comes up with a typical Katie McCabe strike.
Yeah, Katie McCabe doing McCabe things. The second goal, Arsenal 4-0 up at Everton at the break. This is our first of 2 matches tonight. Just to let you know, we've got some team news in from the West Ham-Chelsea match. We talked about how many changes that Chelsea make. And tonight, they've gone with 7 changes. Kerr and Harder will start in that one. We'll bring you more reaction to that Chelsea team and the West Ham team throughout the second half in this one. But back to our commentary team. Already then Arsenal 4-0 up at Everton. Sue Smith is alongside David Stout. And by the way, don't we all want to meet Katie McCabe?
Well, Everton will be hoping to see a little less of Katie McCabe roaming forward, I guess, in the second half, after she was part of the destructive force that managed to get 4 goals in that first half after a fairly bright Everton start. Everton's only WSL win against Arsenal, incidentally. You have to go all the way back to July 2011 for that. It was their first WSL meeting, incidentally. Ellen White gave the visitors the lead before Michelle Hinnigan, Amy Kane and Tony Duggan scored to claim victory for the Toffees. There is a change at half-time for Everton. Aurora Ghali's game is done. Marika Sveka is on in her place. Both sets of substitutes going through a fairly vigorous warm-up during the course of half-time. And we are going to see Jodie Taylor, who celebrates her birthday today. Having watched that first half unfold, she comes on to get stuck into the second half. Just what Everton will want to see at this stage, more attacking prowess entering the field for Arsenal.
A replacement of 27, Jodie Taylor.
So on she comes, and into the huddle she goes for a quick word before we get back underway again. And it will be Arsenal to start us at the start of this second half. Four Arsenal goals then in the first half, and 3 of them, the first 3 indeed, coming after dispossessing Everton in the final third. Arsenal certainly making the most of the opportunities that they created for themselves through pressurising the opponent.
Yeah, they've pressurised so well from the front. Arsenal, Everton, well, they will have known that Everton want to play the ball out from the back, but I've just been quite interested to see how Everton were going to line up in this second half with Sveka coming on. It looks like they've gone to a back 4, which, you know, he had to do something. He's not going to change his style and his philosophy. They'll still try and play out from the back. Just have to be a little bit more careful with their passing.
Here's Karen Hungart. Back to sister Sarah. Wheeler. Hongard helping it on towards Maggie Beaver-Jones. Jodie Taylor looking to try and get possession of the ball. Wheeler almost tricking herself, certainly tripping herself. Beaver-Jones running through, just ran into a crowd and then took out Liavalti. And from a promising position, that will be a yellow card for the Everton attacker. Not a challenge that was appreciated by those in Arsenal colours.
No, it was late. And you can see the Arsenal players there absolutely furious with this. She does well initially. Beaver-Jones gets herself into a position. That's a naughty challenge. There was an opportunity where she could have hit it a little bit sooner. She doesn't. And as the ball goes away from her, oh, it's late on Volti, and you can see that her ankle twists. Yeah, it's a really poor challenge, that.
Well, that is not a nice one to watch back, and could prove to be yet another major injury blow for Arsenal. So many bumps and bruises, and far worse over the course of the campaign so far. And it was a position of promise, that, for Maggie Beaver-Jones. Just perhaps taking it a little far, taking it into the Arsenal pack, and then overrunning it and going over the mark.
Yeah, again, we were right behind it, and she just had opportunities to shoot and just took the extra touch, and then that big touch that took it away from her. And she's obviously trying to win the ball back, but yeah, it's late and it's on the ankle, and you can see that the ankle twists. You just hope that Volti's going to be okay. You could tell straight away, couldn't you, by the reaction of the players, that it's not a nice challenge.
Yeah, certainly those who were close to the incident were not happy at all. A player who's recently committed her future to Arsenal, signing a new contract till 2025. Cheryl Foster knew action had to be taken. She might not have seen the incident from the angle that we've seen there. She might actually be changing her mind here. It's a red card. And presumably after consulting the assistant, Lisa Rashid, the card has been upgraded. Everton's task just gets harder as concern really grows for Liavalti, and Aggie Beaver-Jones distraught at what she might have done to a fellow professional.
Yeah, I don't believe for 1 second she intended to hurt anyone. I think Cheryl Foster's made the right decision. I think after discussing, like you say, with the other official, she's decided that the decision should be the red card, and I think it's the right decision. It was late, it was over the ball, the studs were up. But you've got to obviously feel for Aggie Beaver-Jones as well, because I don't think there was any intent there whatsoever, but you can't challenge like that.
This is never, ever a nice sight to see from a player who is so important for club and country. Jonas Eideval passing on instruction and getting thoughts from the Arsenal players, including Jen Beattie, who's one of those who was right there when the challenge came in.
They've just been so unfortunate with injuries, Arsenal, and they have managed to cope. They've showed great character, haven't they? Great resilience, and this is just another injury to such a key player. Like you said, she's so key in the way that Arsenal play. It's just so sad to see. Again, you just hope that it's not as bad as it looks.
Well, they are naturally taking their time with an injury such as this to make sure that the Swiss international captain is as comfortable as she possibly can be. And you often find in a game like this, after an injury like this, a delay like this, it affects the mindsets of everyone involved, not just the team who are obviously down to 10 players, but those who are then concerned for their colleague, for their friend.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because you know, football takes a back seat, doesn't it, when something like this happens, because your sole focus is making sure that your teammate or your friend is okay. But then you also want to win the game and perform for her, because you know exactly that's what she would want. It's a real difficult situation.
As a player, you are naturally concerned for your fellow professional, for your mate, but you also then know you have a job to carry on doing, don't you? In the game, you have to carry on trying to perform in the best way you can.
Yeah, and refocus, and you know, there's a lot of big characters out there, leaders. You can see Jen Beattie straight away has got them into the huddle and talking to them. Katie McCabe, you know, that's where those big characters step up and say, look, we all are feeling for Leah Vilty. We want to make sure that she's okay, but like you said, we have to refocus. We've got a game to finish off, and then we can make sure that she's all right at the end of the 90 minutes.
Well, time has been taken, and all the correct measures taken by those in the know. And she will get looked at now to see the extent of the damage. It has been such a horrid season from this point of view for Arsenal. And the sheer misfortune of the number of anterior cruciate knee ligament injuries. This is a different type of injury, clearly, but one that is clearly severe.
Yeah, well, they haven't just been niggly injuries, have they, that they've picked up? They've been long-term cruciate ligament injuries. Kim Little with a hamstring, and so you just hope that this isn't a long-term injury.
Well, she is a character as well as being a quality player for club and country. Leah Vilty goes away with our best wishes.
Substitution for Arsenal going off. Number 13,
a replacement who would have hoped to come on in very different circumstances is Katrin Kuhl, who has played in the last 8 WSL games before tonight, starting the last 3. And the delay after that challenge approaching 8 minutes, so there will be a fair amount added on at the end. It's the first red card for Everton in the WSL, incidentally, since 2014, which was handed out to Nikita Paris. Their first red card in any game since 2019, which was Chloe Kelly in the League Cup.
It's actually really good officiating by Cheryl Foster. You know, the position that she was in probably didn't have the angle that we saw.
While we're concentrating, of course, on matters here on Merseyside, there is a game following us, of course. Chelsea and West Ham going into battle. The team news is in for that. Chelsea with 7 changes from the FA Cup final. That game, of course, coming up straight after us live here on Sky Sports. Emotionally now, Arsenal have to press the reset button. Caitlin Ford sees it taken off her toes by Sorensen. Blackstenius. This is where the atmosphere surrounding the game totally changes as well. The crowd not in full voice as they were as Aggie Beaver-Jones was running through on goal. On from Ford for McCabe. Tempting into the middle for Taylor. who would love a birthday goal, but we'll have to wait a little longer.
Yes, really good play from Arsenal on the left-hand side. Ford sees McCabe's run, just plays it in between two players. Really intelligent ball, well-timed run from McCabe, and it's a great delivery to Jodie Taylor. And it's just a little stumble just before she's about to head it, but what a delivery. Again, we've spoke about McCabe and her deliveries from that side. Jodie Taylor does well to get in at the far post, but just can't get over the ball to head it down. Thumbs up, though, for the assist.
Thumbs up indeed. She's 37 today, shares her birthday with Arsenal club legend Kira Grant. Made 403 appearances for the Gunners. Cool, just losing out. McCabe. And towards Blackstenius. Lots of Ubbenmoy. Blackstenius is through, but is flagged offside.
Yeah, that was unlucky, that, from Arsenal. The movement was good. Kuhl just dropped in and the players followed her. That's when Blackstenius, her movement was opposite. Tried to stretch the play and get him beyond, but Everton's back line was good.
Blackstenius tempting Taylor onto the ball. And shouts from Arsenal of a pullback on the substitute. Although no appeals from Taylor herself. Ramsey away, as far as Noel Maritz. Here's Ford. Trying to create some room for herself, or maybe for Pelova, who was charging onto it. Maritz. With Mornham, who's donned the gloves again. Temperature has dipped here quite considerably since kick-off, when the sun was blazing. Well, he's blazing compared to recent times in England.
I'm just glad I brought me big coat.
Ford. McCabe. Maritz. Back to Ubbenmoy.
Certainly going to be hard work for Everton now. Player down, the way that Arsenal just like to keep the ball, keep moving the ball across the pitch. Looks like they've got two number 10s at times, Arsenal, Jodie Taylor and Kuhl just behind Blackstenius. Just have to try and keep their shape.
It's an Arsenal free kick, which sets up a very presentable opportunity to swing the ball over, or maybe to take the strike on.
It's a definite free kick as well, isn't it? Rebecca's just got her arms around Blackstenius again. That will have been said whenever she goes out. Make sure you get tight, don't allow her to turn, but you can't foul her like that.
So Frida Monham and Katie McCabe debating who should strike this. Everton with everybody back. Another tempting delivery. Beattie's there, off the bar, and the flag is raised to halt Arsenal in their tracks.
It's another really good delivery into the box. Yeah, she just strays offside. Decent header off the bar, and I think it does come out. I don't think it goes over the line, but like I said earlier, they've got great delivery from set pieces, and they've also got such good threats and quality in the air.
A double change for Everton. So just try and inject some fresh legs.
Also coming off for Everton, number 23, Sarah Holmgard, and replacement number 27, Alyssa Stenedig.
Fresh legs, which will be all important now that they're down to 10. Lucy Hope and Elise Stenevik. The two sent on by Brian Sorensen. Cool. Palova saw that there was room for Noel Maritz. Wheeler's header, helped away by Hope. Everton trying to play their way out of trouble here. Bjorn having to be careful. Out it goes off Taylor. Hope taken out by Pelova. Both sides trying to recreate the intensity from before the injury to Leovolti. Sorensen. Katie McCabe just stepping in. Rolls towards Taylor, but Everton keep it. Wheeler, now Hope. Beattie happy to see that home to Zinsberger. He's barely seen the ball in this second half.
No, you're right. And I think that's the thing that Everton just have to improve on looking at next season. It is when they're getting into those positions. You can see they play some nice little passes, nice intricate passes, good movement. Then they get to the final third and it just lets them down a little bit. And I know they're a player down now, and I know that Arsenal are a top side. But you just think if they want to start competing at that next level, that has to be better.
Palova always picks up the ball and looks ahead. Cool. Taylor trying to wriggle free, and she tests Emily Ramsey, who steers it away. Picked up by McCabe. Tries to float one over. Too far away from Maritz. And that'll be a free kick that goes Everton's way. Well, important that Everton stay as strong as they can.
Yeah, they do, and Jodie Taylor certainly looks sharp since she's come on. She might be 37, but she's certainly kept herself fit, and her movement's been excellent. The way that she comes short, she drags the defenders out, then she'll go beyond and long, and once she gets herself into a position, she'll always have a shot to test the goalkeeper.
No hat-trick for Caitlin Ford today. Off she goes to be replaced by Gio Quiroz, who effectively replaces Jodie Taylor on this near side. Taylor's sprinted across to fill in the left-hand side, left vacant by Ford's departure. Quiroz chasing the battle between two substitutes. Robin Moy's touch, drops for Wheeler. Stanovic trying to knock it through. Just ahead of Snuis. They've had 3/4 of the game in terms of the time that has ticked in this match, but of course a big delay due to the injury to Leah Volti. We've talked at times about the Women's World Cup that is on the horizon. Of course, she would be a big part of the Swiss plan at that tournament, if fit and able. Here's McCabe. Monham. Cool for Pelova. Well, it's a case of why not from there at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely, why not? And she's been key to Arsenal, like you mentioned, always facing forward, wanting to play forward and be brave on the ball, and when an opportunity arises, why not have a shot? See as it comes into her. Yeah, nobody's really closing her down, any sort of intensity, and just gets underneath it and just wide.
Just a reminder that straight after us, we head to West Ham United against Chelsea, as Chelsea look to go top of the table tonight. Ball hits Cheryl Foster, so it will have to be dropped from that spot. Always plenty of talking points in football, of course. And one of the players on the pitch, one on the sidelines as well, involved in the 3 Players and a Podcast offering from Sky Sports, hosted by Caroline Barker, Jen Beattie, of course, of Arsenal, Izzy Christiansen of Everton, and Rachel Yankee, who, of course, we know well from her WSL and England days. Always bring 3 topics to the table for each episode. Important issues and debates surrounding women's football discussed at length. Always a good listen as well. Everton ball. And even though the scoreline would suggest Arsenal will be very happy with the night's work, Everton are just starting to frustrate them a little.
Yeah, they are, because like we know that Arsenal are ruthless and we know that they'll want more goals. But Everton are doing what they have to do and trying to stay in shape, trying to make it difficult, working hard off the ball. It's not really an outlet when they look to go forward.
There's a problem here for Everton because Emily Ramsey has taken a seat. And whether that's an issue picked up during a clearance, who knows, but it's something that clearly needs attention. We haven't seen goals for a while because the second half has Been a little stop-start, but these are the strikes from the first half that have made the difference.
Yeah, and this was the one that started it all off, and we were saying that Everton had done really well up until this point, but, you know, give Ford that opportunity. She's always going to put the ball in the back of the net. Katie McCabe with the second from distance, and then this is where Ramsey tries to just get enough on it to take it away from Ford, but who's the first one to respond? It's her, and then brilliant from the set piece. Fubenmoy gets ahead of her marker, and it's a good finish. Real clinical finishes from Arsenal.
Emily Ramsey being patched up. Courtney Brosnan is the goalkeeper in reserve for Everton, who had started the last 8 WSL games before tonight. We're going to see a couple of Everton changes here now. Izzy Christiansen, the first to come on. She's taken over the armband. And Megan Finnegan also joining in the action.
Yeah, Meg Finnegan's just slotted straight into that centre-half position, the right side, and Izzy Christiansen into that midfield area. You've got two players that, you know, we know the qualities that they provide. They'll certainly be talking and communicating with those around them and saying, look, at least we don't concede any more goals.
Fubenmoy forwards. Breaks here for Taylor, who instantly looks up to see the run of McCabe. Pelova through for Maritz. Offside given against her.
Yeah, Everton were lucky there. They tucked right across and just left space on this right-hand side for Maritz. Just caught offside.
Sorry, I was just going to say, Sue, the assistant on this side, Michelle O'Neill, who has come over from Wexford for tonight's game. She's paired up with Cheryl Foster in the World Cup that is coming in the summer. So an opportunity for the two to get game time together. The assistant on the other side, incidentally, Lisa Rashid, who seemed to have her say in the red card earlier on in the game, involved in the men's game, one of our playoff matches that was covered the other night. Bradford City against Carlisle United, the return leg of that coming up at the weekend. As the season at all levels of the game reaches its crescendo. Beattie, who's now in direct opposition with her podcast partner, Izzy Christiansen. Maritz. Kierosh close to her, Pelova as well. Cool moves it on to Mornham. Not quite the 1-2 she was looking for, but she's got it back anyway, and it's McCabe now who takes over. In towards Kierosh, out to Pelova. He doesn't need much room to make an impression. Fubenmoy opens it up for Jen Beattie. Cool. Turn which just opened the game up for herself. Fubenmoy stepping in. Snoeis takes it away. Well, Everton were 5-0 down at half-time against Chelsea last time out. They limited the damage in the second half to just 2 goals. Though some might say Chelsea took the foot off the pedal a little bit as well.
Yeah, it's probably a combination, isn't it? You can see Everton are trying to just make sure that centrally Arsenal don't go through them. So if you're going to go anywhere, you're going to go outside, and then they try and shift the cross, which I suppose you have to do when you're a player down as well.
Pelova not quite finding McCabe. Benison making it hers. A gift from Warnham, who looked up to spot Ramsey off her line, and it just wouldn't quite dip enough from Arsenal's point of view.
It's a bad effort, actually. You can see when it falls to her, just that little glance up to see where she is, and that is the right option, just the wrong execution.
Well, his thoughts now will be tinged with concern about Lia Volti. I also want those who are still out there to see this through and do as much as they can to pile the pressure and, in a sense, the misery on Everton. It's what you want as a manager, isn't it? You want to see goals, you want to see your side express itself. And they might seize on an opportunity here. Blackstenius, Ramsey just about with fingertips to it. And once again, Everton causing their own problems.
Yeah, they have to be better playing the ball out from the back, taking too many touches, taking risks in those areas. When it falls to Blackstenius, she's unlucky with the shot. A decent save from Ramsey, but you can see Ramsey's face looking at her defenders saying it has to be better.
And from Mornham, the ball went out before it went in. So goal kick is given. Well, Everton must have feared the worst after that first half when Arsenal scored 4 goals. Let's face it, they've scored 9 goals in a game twice this season. They are very capable of going and going and going. Well, here come Everton. Christensen. Benison alongside her. That's where the ball is heading. McCabe, though, was one of those who was back swiftly.
I think that's just where there had to be an option on that right-hand side. That's where the space was, but a little bit fatigued now to get themselves forward.
The ball was taken there, but Queiroz felt that as well.
Yeah, I think so. Does well to get the ball, but like you say, he goes through the player as well.
Maritz found with plenty of room here and plenty of options in the middle too. Ramsey having to make sure she was in the right spot. The ball that was drifting as it came over. Wheeler losing out. Queiroz taking over. Blackstenius trying to return the favour. And it eventually works out for Everton. Chance to break with hope. Until Vauban Moy steps in.
Everton haven't really learned, have they? Playing the ball out from the back and getting caught. Arsenal are just waiting for it. They're setting traps. Yeah, I think you can see it, can't you? How many times they've won the ball in that final third.
Maritz with Queiroz there as well. Hope stepping across to win it back. Wanted a bit more movement in front of it. Smith with 2 to look for. Just so hesitant in committing players forward because they want to limit the damage going in the other direction.
And that's a problem, isn't it? You can understand why they're trying to keep their shape defensively, but then that's just having a massive impact when they try and go forward and attack and be brave.
Beattie. Moy once again looking for the room afforded to Noel Maritz. Cool stepping in, finding room, but not a strike which possessed too much threat for Emily Ramsey, but the build-up was nice.
Yeah, it was a simple save in the end from Ramsey, but nice bit of play, quick feet. Just couldn't get any sort of power or accuracy on the shot. But certainly the wide players that are getting so much joy in this second half, Maritz on this right-hand side and McCabe on the left-hand side, because like I said, Everton are trying to keep it all very central, sending them out wide.
Mornem. McCabe. Robin Moy. McCabe on to Cool. Taylor into the path of McCabe. Against Queiroz. Christensen. Stanovic to Hope. Opportunity to gallop onto the ball potentially for Sveka, but Beattie got a toe to it first.
Yeah, Beattie came across well, read the situation. But better play from Everton. That's where we were saying about, can you gamble? Can you get players forward? So Becca decides to do that on the right-hand side. And just as she's about to shoot, Beattie just gets a touch in.
A rare foray forward for Everton here. An opportunity to make their mark in the Arsenal penalty area. Up in the air it goes. It's a decent header. It's more than that. It's very well directed. And a bright spark in the game for Everton, which won't change the outcome, but adds to the momentum from Katja Smys. 4 in 4 for her, and Everton have one on the board.
What a header this is, manages to get in front of her marker. Is it Jodie Taylor? I think she gets in front of, and what a powerful header that is. She has to generate that because the cross that comes in, it's quite looped. Just gets it into that far corner, exactly over the head of the player on the post. Brilliant header, and you've got to praise Everton for how they've kept going with 10 players, 4-0 down. But Arsenal will be disappointed to concede from a set piece.
Clean sheet evaporates, which will annoy Arsenal and Jonas Eidevall. And Everton will perhaps look upon this as it stands, they've won the second half, despite being a player light. All the damage, though, was done in the first half. That's the problem. And when you're playing Chelsea and Arsenal back-to-back, you take the positives where you can. Yeah. And that's certainly a big positive. Lovely finish from Everton's top scorer, who's on the ball again here and has spied that Zinsberger's off her line. Decides instead to play it to Wheeler. Trying to tempt hope further forward into the box. Beautifully done by her. And Palova delighted to have the ball back and be able to charge forward with it. Everton making their first shot on target in the game count, and in some style. Moy forward. Noel Maritz tries to help it in the box towards Taylor. Time for a couple of Arsenal changes here. We've talked a lot about injuries tonight. It's the hot topic really at Arsenal of late. They have got a few players back in the last couple of games. Caitlin Ford, one of them, who's scored a couple in that first half. Steph Catley, another, who's coming on now. And Katie McCabe, one of those to make way.
Yeah, I think it's a real positive, isn't it, to have Catley back. This is her goal, isn't it? McCabe's goal. Brilliant. We've seen her do that on many occasions outside the area. She's had another very good game.
Confirmation of the change then. Stina Blackstenius also making way, and Freya Godfrey, the 18-year-old, coming on for her second Arsenal appearance. She came on as a substitute in the last game for her debut. Catley wins the throw as Blackstenius looks to take a seat. Of course, the big game for Arsenal up next. They go to Chelsea before finishing the season at home against Aston Villa. An Aston Villa side which has improved an awful lot during the course of the season under Carla Ward. We may well see an awful lot more from them next season. And we're going to have a minimum of 10 added minutes. 10 added minutes. Maritz manages to keep going. Did she keep the ball in play? The answer is no.
Yeah, it looks like Jodie Taylor's just gone to that central position since Blackstenius has come off. She's been on the right, she's been on the left, she's been central. as we know she is very versatile. She'll certainly be looking for a goal on her birthday, won't she?
Moy. Seems a fair while ago that she popped up to score for Arsenal. Catley, touch from Taylor. One back by Wheeler. Bjorn could just see that Taylor was close to stealing it away again. Queiroz stepping away from hope. It's there for Godfrey, who was perhaps caught in two minds as to how to finish it. Taylor. No takers in the middle for Arsenal. Queiroz tries to make it hers. And a free kick goes against it.
Great opportunity for Godfrey, wasn't it? Brilliant play on the right-hand side. It's a great delivery, and I totally agree with you. I think she's caught in two minds. Do I head it? Do I go with my leg? Can't get my leg high enough. She's got to go with a head there, hasn't she?
Inches away from her first Arsenal goal for the teenager. Benison. Christensen. Seveka. Looking for Schmies, who has barely had a sniff tonight, to be fair. The one opportunity in front of goal that she's had, and it was barely an opportunity, was the goal. Had to divert the ball through a crowd of players.
It's difficult sometimes being that lone striker. Has to do lots of work off the ball and has to be the one that holds the ball up and links play. You can see her still working across. But yet, when that one opportunity comes, she took it.
Queiroz looking to profit from the ball through from Pelova. Didn't quite get to its target. Bjorn. Back to Wheeler. Overall, a tough night for Everton, a tough double header for Everton, but they do emerge with some credit. It's all about building for next season, really, for those in blue.
It isn't challenging against these top sides. And how can you do that? You've gone and got beat 7-0 against Chelsea. Yes, there were some positive aspects of that, if you can take positives away from a 7-0 defeat. But then you go and play against Arsenal, another top quality side.
And from Maritz, helped away as far as Queiroz and Pelova. They'll build again with Beattie. And Catley. Catley again. Taylor makes her way into the middle. That will be an Arsenal ball. And this is what we were talking about, isn't it? 1 point from 18 before tonight against the top 4 teams. It'll be 1 point from 21 after tonight. Cool. Finds a way through, but Ramsey gets down sharply.
she showed her quick feet, hasn't she? Yet again, when the ball comes into the area, crowded area, manages to wriggle free, and then you think she's going to go for that far corner. She doesn't. She tries to trick Ramsey and go for the near post. She goes through legs as well, so Ramsey does well to get down.
6 of the added 10 minutes have now been played. Remember, stay with us straight after this game. We will be at West Ham against Chelsea. The second of our double-header from the WSL tonight. Here's Taylor. Queiroz. Cool's there with her. Plenty of blue shirts as well, by the way. Pelova. Moritz. The tempting ball over, and the flick from Mornan didn't help Godfrey try and direct it goalwards.
She gets herself into great positions, isn't she? And like I say, I think it was just that flick that just put it off a little bit. But as the ball comes in from Moritz, it's just that little flick. I think it comes to her quickly, and again, she can't decide what to do. But the positive is she's getting into good areas.
Morner. Christensen, her shadow. It's a lovely ball though for Queiroz, and she wellies it against the post. So close to an Arsenal 5th.
Really close again. She's looked really lively since she's come on. It's a good ball through again, using the width. And yeah, I think the goalkeeper, Emily Ramsey's beaten there. You know, good touch out of her feet. You normally say, can you go across goal, but nearly catches the keeper out of that near post.
Robin Moy. As Arsenal see out the final seconds. All thoughts at the final whistle will turn to their injured midfielder, Niavolti. And it goes off Queiroz.
That's a difficulty, isn't it, when there's been an injury like that, for Arsenal to then keep going with that intensity in the second half.
Hope's flick. And she has it back. Benison, a runner with her. Struis as well. Watched by Ruben Moy. Christensen just wouldn't settle for her. Everton trying to end the game on a high. Out as far as Wheeler. Cool will set Godfrey away on the counter. Now she can travel with it. Nicely done onto Queiroz. With Taylor wanting it through the middle. She just went a little early.
Do you know, she wanted it a little bit quicker. You could see she was pointing. She was trying to check a run. But it's great movement from Jodie Taylor. Trying to keep herself onside.
Arsenal's European ambitions a step closer to becoming reality. Everton 1, Arsenal 4. To West Ham, Chelsea we go after this break.